Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our national landscape and political landscape and how they impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, Buni sacked as APC Caretaker Committee Chairman. And again, Airlines passengers groan as aviation fuel price hits 700 naira per litre. And lastly on the show, Super TV CEO alleged killer Chidinma Ojukwu wins Miss Cell beauty pageants. In the course of the program, we'll take your questions, but first subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. I have joining me via Zoom the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. Thank you so much for being there always.
Thank you for doing this with me.
Great. So let's get started. Let's talk about the APC crisis. Virtually all Nigeria political parties are in deep crisis. This time is the All Progressives Congress. Help us unpack what looks like a coup d'etat.
The governors are powerful to the point that they almost always have their way. It is what they want that the president invariably does. Now, within the governors, the politics of 2023 have split them into two or more camps. And the contestation for power is what has brought the APC to this sorry state. The APC has not been able to organize a convention because within the family of governors, there are those who believe that Buni should continue as caretaker chairman of the party. They believe that at this time, the party does not need to make a change. Such governors are much more comfortable working with him than someone else. So they want him to be the person in charge at the time of their primaries. And clearly the leadership of the caretaker committee had been playing to the script of some of these governors, because all efforts to make them organize a convention has fallen on deaf ears. I had said in the past that the February 26th date, the convention that was set that the party claimed it will hold in February will not hold. That was what eventually happened. The party then said that on the day that they were supposed to have the convention, they were going to have the zonal congress of the party. Now, zonal congress is not known to the constitution of the APC. Zonal congress was made popular by the PDP. So it is their tradition to hold zonal congresses. For the APC, it had never happened. But the caretaker committee announced that on the day that they told the world that they were going to have convention, that in its place is the zonal congress that will happen. Of course, many people could not understand why this had to happen. So, as we have seen, the caretaker chairman, Buni, traveled to the UAE, and what looked like a coup took place in his absence. The most senior governor on the caretaker committee, the only two-term governor on that committee, the governor of Niger State, took over power. Naturally, whenever Buni was traveling, he will notify Governor Bello so that he could act in his place. But in this case, there was no official transfer of power between Mai Mala Buni and Governor Bello. And Governor Bello himself came out, despite some of the publications in the Nigerian newspapers, that there was indeed a transfer of power. Governor Bello came out that he never saw any letter transferring power to him. So this appeared just like something contrived by some individuals to make it look like the governor of Yobe State was not kicked out of power by the majority of his colleagues. But what we have had Governor El-Rufai and the governor of Ondo State, Akeredolu, say clearly points to the crisis within the governors forum, the progressive governors forum itself, because you will see governor of Kaduna State saying clearly that they got the permission of the president to remove Mai Mala Buni, and that if Mai Mala Buni returns from his medical emergency, he would not be allowed to return to that position. Now, what will make one to believe that indeed El-Rufai was saying the truth was the fact that Governor Bello tried to did a letter to INEC notifying INEC of the party's plan to hold an emergency NEC. And then you read all the reactions of INEC to that no, only the chairman, which is Mai Mala Buni, or the secretary, and the secretary can indeed sign such letters to officially invite INEC to his NEC, because the law says the INEC should be notified whenever they want to hold such meetings or even a convention and all that. The notice should be 21 days. So what Governor Bello wanted to do was to get NEC to sit, and at that meeting, the NEC would then ratify him as the acting chairman of the party ahead of the convention. But there is now this sort of back and forth between the APC and the leadership of INEC, because INEC does not recognize Bello as chairman of the party. It recognizes Mai Mala Buni until it is officially notified, and that change has the neck of the party or the caretaker committee itself, because the caretaker committee yielded its powers to, the neck of the party yielded its powers to the caretaker committee. So the caretaker committee itself can also take that decision, because they are carrying out the functions of the organs of the party, like the NWC and the NEC, in an extraordinary manner. So this is where we are. We can see the governor of Zamfara State urging the governors to stop abusing themselves and watching each other's dirty linens in public. This does not bode well for the party. The governors have been given so much power to run this party, and the way things are going now, they are about to use their own hands to destroy the party, because there are all kinds of litigations. Even the convention itself, there are court cases trying to stop the convention. So the fate of the person, the balance, and the convention itself, which is coming so close to the Ramadan fasting season, can indeed take place.
Yeah, well, just like you said, INEC already said that it would stay away from the party's national executive committee slated for next Thursday. So since both Buni and his embattled caretaker secretary, John Akpano-Dwede, did not endorse it, so how best would you suggest for the ruling party to resolve this impasse? But then, as you answer that, is it true that Governor Mai Mala Buni was trying to ensure that no convention takes place until 2023 general elections?
That's the allegation of people like Governor El-Rufai that there was an injunction stopping the convention, which he did not make. He did not. At the last minute to stop the convention. That injunction was issued in the second week of November. Yet people were not aware that that the injunction was in place. They claimed that Governor Buni wanted to use that injunction as a trump card. That, look, we can't hold this convention. No, see, there's an injunction. So El-Rufai is saying that they are going to do their best to set aside that injunction so that the convention can go ahead. It's a battle for power. There are some of these governors who want to become vice president. There are some of them who want to even become the presidential candidate of the party. There are some of them who want to become senators. So they are struggling for power. And there are some of them who believe that it's Buni's leadership that can ensure that their interests are protected in their respective states, that can ensure that the candidates that they want to field for all the elective national positions, I'm talking about senatorial election, governorship and all that, and also reps and House of Assembly, such people, they are sure that their candidates will emerge with Buni in charge of the party. So for such people, Buni has to continue. And already, you remember that the governor of Imo State told us that, look, we can postpone our convention. We can even decide to postpone our convention when we like. That was a clear signal to people that within the governors, there were people who did not want to see the party hold convention.
Yeah.
A good number of them also want the convention and the presidential primaries held on the same day.
Okay,
the argument is that if they did that, they will be able to save money.
Yeah, BKO, I because of our time, so what would you recommend for the APC to resolve this and pass?
Well, I believe they're allowed to it's done well to position the party strongly by bringing in some governors and some other powerful people from the rival PDP.
BKO, right now, we lost you momentarily. Could you pick it from what you said? Yes. Pick it from what you want
Buni needs to be. He needs to be allowed to finish the work that he has started.
Okay.
There is not a long time between now and the convention date. So there's no need to remove him at this stage, because even that has legal implications, as we have seen. So in order to be on the safe side, they should let him complete the work that he has started. Of course, whatever he planned to do, it is difficult for him to carry such things out because everyone now knows. But for the party to be certain that it is not breaking any law, then he has to continue. He has to be allowed to continue for the remainder of the time that he has. And then his secretary, Apan Oduedehe, also needs to be by his side. They are the only ones who can sign. I doubt if the INEC will recognize anybody outside of these two individuals. So, but the party must be advised properly and legally to do what is right. Otherwise, the Zamfara experience could be what will happen to the party.
All right, BKO, that being said, I think we're likely to be locked off in a few minutes, but I will let you know when so that we can rejoin. So I'm just trying to tell our audience that they should just hang on if they see that we lost signal, just briefly. So let's move to the second topic, which is touching on the aviation sector. BKO, airline operators said they are struggling to maintain their aircraft as fuel now takes over 115% of operation cost, and also warned that the safety of flight in Nigeria may be in danger. So what does this sector need to address this hardship passengers are facing?
It's already one sector that is gasping for breath. It's one sector that really needs to be assisted because the potential is there. The insecurity in the land means that more and more people are patronizing the airlines. States that in the past people didn't bother to fly to, they are now, the airports are now very active. People are flying to those states, you know. So that sector needs to really be assisted. When Nigeria went into recession some years back, the first recession under this administration, what it was the aviation sector as well as the agri sector that were doing well. We had positive news from those two sectors. Other sectors were really in the red, but the aviation sector as well as the agri sector were doing well. So it means that there is so much promise, and we need to help that sector. Now, a situation in which aviation fuel that they were buying at 190 naira per liter just a couple of weeks back has suddenly become 670, in some cases 700 naira per liter. It's terrible for airlines, and you can see that the scarcity of aviation fuel is making many airlines to even cancel flights. This is not good enough. In fact, I had one of the airline owners saying that sometimes they fly as late as 2 a.m. because of this problem. Because when they then eventually lay their hands on aviation fuel, they have to now resuscitate flights that had been cancelled, and then flights that have been delayed, and then people have to move very late in the night. This is not right. The aviation fuel has to be made available for these airlines because it could eventually affect safety. It could compromise the safety in that sector, because if we get to the point when adulterated aviation fuel gets sold in jerry cans because aviation fuel is scarce, people can't find aviation fuel, then we could be hearing stories of aircraft coming down, and nobody wants that to happen. So this is not a sector. This is not a sector where you can joke with fuel. The aviation sector is not where that should happen at all. Aviation fuel is not sold anywhere else apart from the airports. We must not land in a situation in which people are buying aviation fuel in jerry cans. It must not happen, because when that happens, incidents of adulteration will happen, and that can bring down an aircraft. So another thing is, when these airlines struggle to make ends meet, definitely they will begin to cut corners. And the cost of aviation fuel is already driving them crazy. And that could push some of them to begin to cut corners so that they can make a profit by any means possible. So we have to really be careful.
Okay, BKO.
I'm really ashamed of regulators in that sector who are telling us that they have more than 34 million liters, that they have more than enough supply to last 34 days. So if you have enough supply to last 34 days, why are airlines finding it difficult to access aviation fuel?
Yeah.
They just keep telling us the lies.
All right, BKO, before we call it, because we need to go on a break very quickly, but I wanted to address this very briefly in 2 minutes. NNPC said it cannot crash the price of jet fuel to 200 naira per litre as requested, because the airline turbine kerosene landing cost is 418 naira per litre. So except it's subsidized, this is subsidy coming to the fore again. would you advocate saying?
No, the truth is, when the crude oil prices go up in the international markets, it will affect every petroleum product. Let's tell ourselves the truth. It's gone up significantly since Vladimir Putin decided to invade a sovereign country. It's gone up, and we do not refine all these products in Nigeria. So the landing costs would definitely go up because the price. I don't see how time the airlines just need to cope, but let it even be available. And if it's sold at say 400 naira per liter, it's still better than selling it at 700. It's better selling it at 700 naira per liter.
All right, makes sense, BKO. Let's quickly go on a very short break. So we implore our audience to hang on. We'll be back very, very shortly. BKO, hang on. We'll definitely get back very soon. And when we come back, we'll be talking about Chidinma may sell, brouhaha. So how Chidinma became, may sell, whether it is legal or moral. We'll have BKO to weigh in on that. Hang on, stay with us. We'll be back on Issues with Jide. All right, thank you so much for staying there with us. So let's get talking. BKO, thank you so much for hanging on. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Absolutely, thank you so much. So let's talk about the latest story that was actually trending. People were shocked on Thursday after seeing the alleged murder suspect of Super TV CEO Chidinma Ojukwu emerged winner of Miss Cell. But the promoters of this initiative said it was part of social activities in sound mind and good spirit. So, BKO, this is between the morality and the legality of this issue. Where do you stand? BK, are you there?
Yes.
What did you get the question?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Question quickly.
Okay, I should take the question again. Yeah, the issue of the alleged murder suspect of Super TV CEO Chidinma Ojukwu, emerging winner of the Miss Cell, but the promoter said that it was part of social activities to keep the inmates in sound mind and good spirits. So the issue was now turned between morality and the legal issue. So where do you stand?
I think the law permits to be able to take part in cultural activities, to be able to even go to school within the prison, especially people who are awaiting trial like her. The law does not see her as somebody who is already convicted. She's not convicted. No matter how bad her case is, she's not a convict. So people play football, they organize football matches inside the prison. I remember when people like Yaradua, Sheikh Musa Yaradua were Kirikiri prison, they used to organize football matches, for the inmates, just to make them happy and even improve their humanity. But what these people did that I feel sad about is to now bring it out in the open, announce that this competition took place, because they play football in the prison, but they don't come out to tell us these are the winners of the football tournament in the prison. But somebody, a controversial figure who is accused of killing someone, who has not proven her case, is not guilty, has now won a competition, the Pageant in prison. You now splash the picture on newspaper pages. I mean, people should be sensitive about matters like this. How do they expect Chidinma to feel, to see her wearing makeup, doing catwalk in prison, and then you brought the picture for all to see? What kind of high service or were they trying to do just for people to see them that they are doing something? Nigerians should understand that there are certain behaviors that they cannot defend. Yes, there's nothing wrong in organizing a cooperation between prisoners. I've already said it that they are even permitted. We've seen people in prison who went to school while in prison. There are people who do UTME, who do JAMB inside the prison. There are people who become graduates inside the prison. So this kind of activities, cultural activities, is permitted by law within the prisons. So, for example, people like this girl, Chidinma, who had not been convicted, they are even allowed to wear their own personal wares. They are allowed to eat their own food instead of eating the famous prison beans while in the prison because they have not been convicted. So because they have not been convicted, they are entitled to certain rights. So if they were organizing this competition, it would be unfair to leave out in the open. And I'm saying that in the past, football matches had been played in the prison, but the rest of those of us outside were not privy to the winners, and the pictures of the winners were not splashed on newspaper pages. So to do this, and when somebody extremely controversial like that is involved, is extremely unwholesome, is unfair on the family of the late TV proprietor. I mean, they should always think of how other people will feel about some of the actions that they take. Even based on what we have had in the course of the trial, it will be difficult for people to believe that Chidinma didn't carry out this murder, because she was the one who sold Attacker's laptop. His MacBook Pro laptop was sold by her, and the person that she sold it to, a computer village, made sure that the transaction was not by cash, so they could trace her identity through that transaction alone. And there were other things that pointed to the fact that she knew something about the death of this man. People have read the way the man was went to the extent of even withdrawing about 380,000 from the man's ATM. Of course, there's record of this. So when people can read all of this, they're already convinced in their heart that this girl is a murderer, and is that kind of girl that you organize a pageant, you got her involved, and after she won, you went out to splash the pictures on newspaper pages. That was downright irresponsible. It should have been kept there within the four walls of the prison. If what they were planning was simply to make these prisoners feel happy, make them feel like human beings, make them not feel really neglected, there's nothing wrong about that. But to bring it out, to come and announce to the world, and for people to see her wearing a dress that exposed part of her body, see her with lipsticks, putting on lipstick and catwalking. I mean, it revolts against the sensibilities of family and lovers of even well-wishers of Attacker, the man who was killed and suspected to have been killed by her. We in this case, are much more bothered about morality than anything else. And I think that a mistake has been made. I hope that they won't make this silly mistake next time. Nobody is saying that law does not permit her to take part in pageant within the prison. But don't come and splash the photographs on our pages. You know, that's not right.
I see nothing grievous has been committed, you know, allegedly. But it looks like Evans is, I'm not sure where he's standing, but this is what he said. In law, political prisoners are not regarded as criminals, unlike a murder suspect.
This one is not a political prisoner.
I guess when you made an allusion to the Aradua and the football matches, you know, organized them.
No. Even those who are on death row, those who have been sentenced to death, were permitted to take part in those competitions. They are permitted to take part. It does not leave anyone out. They are permitted to take part in cultural activities. It does not leave anybody out, whether you are a political prisoner, whether you are an ordinary detainee, or you are a convict, or you've been sentenced to death. As long as your sentencing has not been carried out, you are permitted to take part in physical activities, cultural shows within the prison. That is the point that I'm making. Now, once you are convicted, you begin to wear that uniform. But people like her, who had not been convicted, who are just detainees, they do not have to wear the uniform, and they are permitted to eat food brought from outside by members of their family. So there are some rights that you have if you are awaiting trial, if you've not been convicted. That's the point that I'm making. But coming to whether people can play football matches or cultural shows, it does not leave out even people who have been convicted.
All right. Yeah, BKO. So let's go to our first topic. Fabian Akeze is saying that why has INEC never been in control of the Nigerian democratic space? The two leading political parties always have their way because there are no regulations. I think
they don't always have their way.
Yeah.
They don't always have their way. They don't always have their way. If they always have their way, then APC will not have lost all their elective positions in Zamfara State. They had problems about the primaries of the party. INEC was not convinced that primaries took place. INEC refused to recognize any winner. The case went on and on in court. Then at a point, they got what seemed like a judgment, but the judgment was not from a final court. But INEC's character is to abide by the final order from the court. But as soon as the Supreme Court gave its order, despite the fact that the elections had been held and APC won all the positions in Zamfara State, the Supreme Court held that APC did not conduct primaries. And so they lost all the positions across board. So INEC does not always yield to these people. I know the back and forth between INEC believes that the law has to be obeyed. I know the back and forth between Oshomole and the INEC chairman over the Zamfara matter, because Oshomole was trying to bring in Dauda Lawal, and the INEC chairman said, no, there was no primaries.
Okay.
You didn't follow the law regarding primaries.
Yeah. Okay, well, Alade Jobi Adeyinka said APC is gradually becoming the shadow of itself. With all these shenanigans, its faith in the next coming election is shaking. So I'm not putting this question. Is it possible that if this issue is unresolved and it escalates beyond what we are looking at now, is it possible that APC might not be able to field a presidential candidate come 2023 elections?
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And if for any reason, one of those court cases, I hear that there are up to 208 court cases. If for any reason one of those court cases succeeds, it will be a big disaster. It will not be the presidential election alone that will be affected.
Somebody is still
the party will lose across board. The party will lose across board. The party has lost on some occasions because they brought a candidate without a genuine certificate. They knew that candidate had to be posted. But at the end of the day, they lost. They lost. So the thing. It's dangerous to continue to play the kind of games that they are playing amongst themselves.
Right, BKO. So I think we're out of time. Let me just try to take one or two comments that are made here. Tunaija said, Jide is saying nothing is wrong with that. I strongly disagree. Well, okay, that's an opinion. Temi Tokpe David said, Mr. Otitoju, God bless you always for your unbiased journalism. I'm very proud of you, sir. Okun people are very proud of you, brother. I think that's your Omoya that is also giving you some commendations there. Another person also said something here. I think I saw another word here. So yeah, the issue of Chidinma should not be a topic. Even a condemned person still has freedom to live. we are in the internet world, men should stop raping women in Nigeria. I'm not sure whether that really exactly resonates with the point we're trying to make, does it?
No, no, really. And I didn't say there was nothing wrong in that. I said organizing competitions within the prisons. There's nothing wrong in that. The law permits it. The law permits them to organize cultural shows and the rest. But they don't have to publicize it to the point of now bringing it out for those of us who are not in prison to see. And when it concerns someone like that, who is believed to have murdered her lover, of course they should know that people will be very angry when they see such things. That's the point that I made. I didn't say that it was right for them to do what they have done and then place it in the public space. No, organize it for them within the prison walls, but don't publicize it and make it a newspaper headline matter. A desire to seek publicity, look at the mess that they have put themselves now. So that's the point. I'm not saying that I'm happy with what they have done. People should be able to understand what we are saying. That look, making them happy within prison, organizing fanfare for them, it's not a bad idea. People go to prisons to preach. Churches go there to preach. Churches go there to distribute gifts. But it does not make sense to come out in the open and splash the pictures in the media. What did they think they were trying to achieve? And that's what caused this controversy. Anyone who still feels pain about the way we lost Ataga will be very angry to see that girl sorting her stuff, doing her catwalk, and walking around. The person who died is
like
dead.
Nothing happened.
Yes, you can't now be. It's like urinating on the grave of the dead to do what they have done.
Makes sense
by splashing those pictures in the media. Faces. That is what I think they did that was wrong.
Yeah. Wow. So that, it's on this note we call it a wrap. But let me take this comment from Jamilu Jibrin, who says, Babajide, I greet you, sir. You're doing a great job. We appreciate you, sir. You are one of the best journalists in Nigeria. God bless you. And that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses as always. BKO.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'll see you in Lagos.
Very, very soon. And that's thanks to you too, our audience, for joining us on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. And thanks for always being there. On behalf of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.